Okay, Microsemi is not a Silicon Valley company. It's based in Southern California. It's kind of unique, a bit of an outlier. Makes the chips that go into aircraft, space vehicles. They're called hardened chips, so they're radiation safe. Good thing about that business is long-term and high margin. Bad thing, no big ups and downs.
I know there's a history of potential takeovers here, but what kind of companies do you think would be interested?
Well, we've obviously named Skyworks as being one of the interested parties, and they, as you remember, last year actually got in a bidding war with Microsemi for yet another chip maker called PMC Sierra. So what we're looking at right now is they're the one that's going to be primarily interested. And
is the thinking here that these companies, these medium-sized companies, need to do bigger deals to play on the new field? Essentially?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, the costs in the industry are only going up. There are fewer customers that want them to do more and more. If you don't have the sales to be able to generate the amount of cash that you need to finance that R&D, profitability goes down and you're vulnerable, and that's what's going on.
All right, another deal happening. Broadcom buying Brocade for $5.9 billion. Broadcom chips, of course, are used in the iPhone, the Apple TV set-top box. Why buy Brocade?
Okay, Hock Tan, who's the CEO of what was Avago and is now Broadcom, he's basically pursuing the strategy that we just talked about, which is like get big or die. He's out there buying as much as he possibly can. A big part of his business is networking, basically networking within data centers, the kind of thing that Google, AWS would use to send data around in their data centers. Part of Brocade, not all of it, part of it that he's isolated and said he's going to keep is what would be good for that kind of business.
So what is he keeping? What stays, what goes?
Something called fiber channel, which is basically the kind of chips that convert data into photons to send them all around on fiber optics. Wants to keep that. Wants to get rid of the more conventional networking business, the switches, the routers, and Ruckus Wireless, which is the Wi-Fi stuff.
The CEO of Brocade, Lloyd Carney, no slouch either. This is the third straight company he's led that's wound up getting sold. Not sure if that's good or bad, but you know, what happens to him in this deal?
I mean, what happens to most people who sign on to work for Hock Tan as an executive level is they end up looking for work elsewhere. He's very good at consolidating and saving costs. So that's normally his playbook.
Same time, Qualcomm shares, Qualcomm, fantastic quarter, but shares not necessarily responding. Of course, big deal, NXP, having just happened. What's going on? Okay,
two things. Qualcomm had a very good quarter, said everything in China is wonderful. They got paid for a lot of licensing that they've been struggling. You remember all of those legal problems that they had. When you look at what they're saying about the current quarter, they're saying, look, it's going to be good again. China's going to be great again. However, they lost orders in the iPhone, and Samsung had a bit of a problem with one of its phones, as you know, and Qualcomm was a big part of that phone. So the losses of orders in the iPhone and the Galaxy cancellation, basically pulling back orders for some of its chips.
Can the industry continue to consolidate at this pace, and do you expect it to?
I mean, my beat has gone from 30-odd companies down to a lot less than that, so that's a fair observation. However, I had a CEO of another company in here as recently as yesterday saying those small and mid-sized companies that you just mentioned, still plenty of them, still plenty of room to get together.